I'm News 19 Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte with the 8 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Elsa is still a tropical storm. Winds still sustained at 45 miles an hour, now moving northeast at about 14. It's about 75 miles west of Brunswick, Georgia, and it's still on track to impact the Carolinas and especially for the Midlands. Now, timing will be a factor, but we're expecting this to start within the next 2 hours. In addition to that, Storm Prediction Center now has Orangeburg County, at least Orangeburg County, under a tornado watch until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll have more on the weather and Elsa coming up at 11 o'clock tonight. Us on Facebook Live. Wanted to give that update for everybody on Channel 19, but I wanted to give you a little bit more thorough update on what's going on right now with Tropical Storm Elsa. Now, to begin with, again, the update is it is still a tropical storm. Interestingly enough, when it's well inland, now for those of you who don't know where Brunswick, Georgia is, it's right along the coastline, just to the north of St. Mary's, Georgia, and Jacksonville, Florida. It's 75 miles to the west of that. It's positioned right now moving north-northeast. If you watched us earlier today, I said it's moving north, but it looks more northeast. Well, that's the case now. Moving north-northeast at 14 miles an hour. The pressure is up to 1,006. It hasn't degraded that much as far inland as it is right now, and with 45-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Here's the interesting feature. It is moving northeast, but projections for the National Hurricane Center has it, interestingly enough, aggressively turning more north within the next 3 hours, and then heading right for Augusta and I-20 sometime early tomorrow morning before daybreak. Let's just assume sometime between 4 and 6 a.m. Regardless, it's expected to go right along I-20 before it exits into the Piedmont of North Carolina by Thursday afternoon as a tropical depression. But again, the cone of uncertainty is the big factor. Obviously, this is not what it looked like an hour ago or 3 hours ago. So this is going to deviate from west to east. The main thing to understand is that this will change. So the dynamics of what we can and shouldn't expect is going to change as well. Again, if you live anywhere in the Midlands, Orangeburg County alone is now under a tornado watch, and this is a long one. Tornado watch until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we're talking about the next 9 hours we're under a tornado watch. It would not surprise me before we start the 11 o'clock newscast that more counties in the Midlands will be added to that, in particular along and south of I-20. So pretty much the northern Midlands may or may not get the tornado watch. I believe at the evolution of Elsa as it moves towards the central Savannah River area, that many areas in the central and eastern Midlands will be added. But again, Orangeburg is the only one under that. Not only is Orangeburg under the tornado watch, but you're talking about also the low country. Let me get back to that. All of the low country, Orangeburg all the way down to the coast, is under this tornado watch until 5 a.m. There's a lot of shower activity, a lot of heavy rainfall that's already plaguing areas from Beaufort to Bluffton to Hilton Head, and then when you go further west into portions of Hampton County. A lot of heavy rainfall is moving right along the central Savannah River area in Augusta, particularly in the areas from Richmond County, and then hopping over into extreme western Aiken County, in particular right around the areas of Beach Island. Not a lot of activity as of yet. We've had isolated showers, one brief one that went over the station on Garner's Ferry. We've got one that's just passing over Gilbert, heading just to the southwest of Lake Murray. Another pocket of isolated heavy rainfall over by Hopkins, probably going over McCourt's Ferry, heading towards the split of Kershaw and Lower Richland. And then an isolated one that's probably going to be right around the area of Ashwood or to the east of Ashwood. But regardless, this is the only activity we have as far as the Midlands are concerned. Now, all of this is moving generally to the north, almost northwest, at about 20 miles an hour. But you notice a lot of shower and storm activity, a lot of that it's curving. That's what we expect, especially as Elsa gets towards us. Now, here's the very important picture when we're talking about what we're expecting tonight. The rainfall is going to be the biggest thing. In areas from Chesterfield to northern Kershaw, northern Fairfield, practically all of Newberry and Saluda, 1 to 2 inches of rainfall is expected tonight. The rest of the Midlands, most of the Midlands, between 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. In Orangeburg and Clarendon County, I mentioned this earlier today, even though Clarendon County wasn't showing up, well, it's now showing up. So areas of central southern Calhoun, extreme southern Sumter, central southern Clarendon, and Orangeburg counties could experience 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, but the further south you go into Orangeburg and Clarendon County, especially into the low country, localized, they could get up to 6 to 7 inches of rainfall in many areas as the storm moves through. In addition to that, we're expecting more excessive rainfall when we go into Thursday. Maybe areas in the green in the northern and far northeastern Midlands could expect about another inch of rainfall when it's finally done. Now, we do have tropical winds, but the factors right now are few and far between. Most of the guidance shows that there's a less than a 25% chance of any areas along and south of I-20 to experience specifically 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds. It will be windy. Sustained winds could be upwards of 20 to 25 miles an hour, but we're not talking about tropical storm winds, at least at this point. Now, the one other thing is the possibility of severe weather. There will be thunderstorms scattered all throughout South Carolina, but along and south of I-20, there is a marginal to slight risk for severe weather, especially a slight risk when you go from pretty much the Grand Strand all the way down to the low country and everything in between. And that does include all of our communities in south central and southeastern Midlands for Calhoun, Clarendon, and Orangeburg County. Typically, severe thunderstorm warning would be either 1, wind over 58 miles an hour. That's not the case. Hail of 1 inch or greater. That's not the case. We're talking about a tropical cyclone. And tropical cyclones are the things that usually, more often than not, spin up the tornadoes. If you didn't know, Florida has got the largest amount of tornadoes annually, not Oklahoma or Texas. It's because all of them are spawned off of tropical cyclones, whether it's tropical storms or hurricanes. The issue is that along I-20 and points south, there is a low risk for tornadoes. Now, we're talking about brief, isolated tornadoes that may last 5 to 15 minutes, but it's still a tornado. You're talking about damaging winds of at least 75 miles or higher in a very confined space. Now, when you get south of that, again, we're talking about central southern Calhoun, southern Sumter, practically all of Clarendon and Orangeburg counties, and then point south, there is a slight uptick in the possibility of brief isolated tornadoes. Bottom line is that everyone in the Midlands, particularly along and south of Interstate 20, should be well aware that there is that tornado risk. Hence the reason why we already have a tornado watch for Orangeburg County as well as the Low Country that goes until, again, 5 a.m. And again, this is not just us, this is the Low Country. So need to be aware of what we're going to be expecting. Now, here's a position of Elsa. All the showers and thunderstorms we had early this afternoon was not part of Elsa. It's just the forcing push to the north. And all of those showers and storms were part of a stationary boundary. Everything has fallen apart. The only thing that's going on right now is Elsa and the effects of that tropical storm. Now, what we're expecting, it's 8:05 now. Between now and 11 o'clock, we could have outer bands of showers and thunderstorms that'll move through. Keep in mind that the outer bands are usually the focal point of spin-up tornadoes that will last 5 to 15 minutes. It's something we definitely have to watch after 9 o'clock tonight, especially in the southern Midlands. As soon as we get to midnight, the outer band may be moving through, but here comes the complete effect of Elsa moving out of the low country. And at this point, 1 to 2 o'clock, all of the Midlands are going to be dealing with some kind of thunderstorm, heavy rainfall activity. And this is going to continue through the overnight hours. And that's why it's very important to understand that if you have not done it yet, download the News 19 app. You can get it on Google Play or the Apple Store. Have that downloaded so this way when alerts go off, your phone goes off. And if you have one of those settings on your phone like I do, well, you have it on sleep mode where nothing turns the phone on. Turn that off tonight. Turn off that setting so this way the phone is on to get these alerts. If you have a NOAA weather radio, I strongly suggest to make sure that not only it's working, the batteries are in it and functional, and you have the switch turned on. Because this is 5 o'clock in the morning. 90% of us are going to be asleep when all this is going on. You might be woken up by the thunder and lightning, but if there's severe weather, you want to be alert as it comes through. At daybreak, we're still going to be dealing with the tropical storm. At this point, it's probably going to be a tropical depression, but the spinning activity of the storms is going to continue. There may be some breaks by the time we get to sunrise for Orangeburg County, but just keep in mind that this is just one model. The likelihood that we'll start clearing out at least the southern half of the Midlands will be more towards mid-morning, and by late morning as you head towards lunchtime, whatever Elsa is, very likely a depression, will already be moving out of the PD, but will still have residual effects on the back end. Still dealing with possible showers and thunderstorms throughout the day and into the evening. The good news is that by the time we get to Thursday night, midnight, we're done. So again, the important thing is to understand that this is something we're going to be dealing with in the upcoming hours, especially as we get closer to 9 o'clock in the southern Midlands. So just to wrap up, National Weather Service updated, 8 o'clock update. Elsa is still a tropical storm with sustained winds of 45 miles an hour. It's 75 miles an hour straight west of Brunswick, Georgia. We still are in the cone of uncertainty, and that goes from tomorrow morning through tomorrow afternoon. And with that in place, Orangeburg County right now is under a tornado watch until 5 a.m. And I do expect more counties as we go through the next few hours to be added onto that. Which ones? It's yet to be determined. But keep in mind that the focal point as far as severe weather criteria for these brief spin-up tornadoes will be along and south of I-20. We'll have updates all throughout the night as warranted. If we have any warnings, we will let you know both on Facebook Live as well as on News 19. But for now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte. Be sure to follow us on Twitter with Daniel Bonds, Alex Kellamy, and myself as we track Tropical Storm Elsa.